Item 10.2, council member reports or comments. I'll start from my right. Any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I've been troubled about things going on in our community over the past several weeks, and I see it getting worse, not better. And I'm really troubled to continue to read that Mr. SHAWN GORDON, the self-anointed Rancho Santa Margarita Government Watchdog, continues to tell residents of our great city, the Rancho Santa Margarita City Council members, that we all receive pensions when we leave here. As you'll recall, listening to our speaker tonight, I have been served once again with a notice of an intent to recall me from office. And what's troubling is that in that notice, there is a 200-word statement of the grounds for recall. And those grounds for recall are the words that will eventually be published on a petition that Mr. Gordon and each of those individuals that signed this notice, that they will be telling the residents of this city, this is why we need to remove Mr. Beall from office. And those reasons are simply false. And I want to address on the record some of those falsehoods. And the reason for that is I am deeply concerned that Mr. Gordon and those individuals that have signed this, his few supporters, they are intentionally providing false information to the residents of Rancho Santa Margarita. And I want to clear that up once and for all for the benefit of our residents on the record. Once again, they have stated that I, Tony Beall, supports high-density development sweetheart deals in Dove Canyon for his buddies. I have addressed this in writing on the record, and it's patently false. And I would direct everyone in the community, especially those individuals that have signed this statement, to take that into consideration before you start circulating to your fellow residents false information. I've never made such a statement that I support high-density development, sweetheart deals in Dove Canyon for my buddies. My statement speaks for itself. It's in writing. They have suggested that I have a conflict of interest because I work in a law firm, and they say that my law firm has represented or represents the owners of the property. That's false. We don't represent the William Lyon Company nor Raintree Investment Corporation. I have no buddies that are involved in the ownership. I'm not beholden to anyone. And so any person in this city who claims that that statement in this notice of intention is true is lying to the residents of Rancho Santa Margarita. I want to address one other claim. They claim that I have voted to spike my city pension. So for the record, I'm going to address these questions. I've got some questions that I got for our city manager. Are Rancho Santa Margarita City Council members entitled to receive a pension when they retire, when their service to this community is over?
No, the council members are not receiving pensions. They are excluded from membership in the CalPERS retirement system.
We've had other council members that have served and have retired, left the council. Are any of them receiving pensions today for their service in Rancho Santa Margarita?
To my knowledge, no council member ever is from being a council member for Rancho Santa Margarita is receiving a pension. I know that a couple of council members, because they've worked for other governmental agencies, may get a pension resulting from those agencies, but there is no one getting a pension from Rancho Santa Margarita being a council member.
Would any of the current members of the Rancho Santa Margarita City Council today be entitled to receive a guaranteed monthly pension for the rest of their lives as a result of their service here in Rancho Santa Margarita?
No, there is no government pension provided to our council members.
So what we have in reality, as I have stated multiple times on the record, trying to correct the misinformation that's being put out there. Isn't it true that council members, we have access only to a 457 plan, which is similar to a 401k plan that our residents that work in the private sector are probably familiar with? Isn't that true? And could you explain on the record so people understand what the truth is?
So cities are required to provide for all their employees, which for these purposes, council members considered an employee, either a Social Security account or have a 457. And shortly after incorporation, the council at that time opted for the 457 plan, which, as you mentioned, is similar to a 401k that people in the private sector are familiar with. So for council members, we are required to provide the equivalent of what we would provide into Social Security, which is, I want to say it's something a little over 12% of the monthly stipend. So the entire annual amount that is provided for each council member into that contribution, that retirement contribution account, is $690.
So there's no city pension?
It's not a pension. It's a retirement contribution plan like a 401k.
Okay. So I have one final...
We're required by law to do.
So we have no pension. I have one final question. I've never voted to spike my city pension, have I?
The council has not, since there is no pension, there could not have been a vote to spike. I will say that it was in 2006 when the city first became a CalPERS agency. The council did vote to exclude council members from receiving a pension through the CalPERS system. So that's the only vote that I'm aware of, and I know
Was I on the city council at that time?
Yeah, I think...
How did I vote?
You voted for the exclusion of the council members, and I believe Mayor Holloway was also on the council at the time and voted for the exclusion of council members.
So not only did I not vote to spike my pension, I voted to make sure that no council member ever got a pension. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So I hope that helps clear up the confusion that seems to be out there in the community. I don't think it's going to matter much to Mr. Gordon or his supporters, because I think they're bound and determined to provide false information to our residents. And to me, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I find that unethical, unprofessional, and simply wrong. And I just want to take a moment to say, I've lived here with my family now for over 30 years. And as our speaker, Mr. Lundberg, mentioned in his comments today, I mean, it's a great community, a great place to raise a family, to run a business. And I have never, in all these years, seen anything like what's going on in our community now. This is wrong. This is out of hand. And Mr. Gordon and those that have signed this notice to commence a recall against me are sowing the seeds of dissension and division in this community. Recalls are very divisive, and they can tear a city apart. It can take years for a city to heal. A recall is designed to remove someone for an act of malfeasance. There's no claim of that. They're talking about votes that took place 12 years ago. I've been elected twice since then. I've gotten more votes than anyone in the history of the city. It's their right to do it, but I'm urging them to rethink what they're doing, because it could tear up the fabric of this city for a long, long time. And I just don't want to see that happen. Our community deserves better. And I would urge Mr. Gordon and each of the individuals that have signed this, read the words that you're putting out to your neighbors and see if you really, truly stand behind that. Our residents deserve better. Thank you.